Conference time. So welcome everybody. We just celebrated the Chinese New Year. And the Chinese New Year this year, as every year, I try to have each one of you think of embracing the qualities of that mystical creature or animal that is the year. How many of you, it's the year of the dog? How many of you are actually dogs? Born the year of the dog? A couple dogs, yay, I can see that. So each year we don't try to emulate their bad qualities, but their good qualities, or I shouldn't say they're bad, but the ones that they're working on. We're going to do the positive qualities of the dog. So what are great qualities of the dog? Loyalty. Loyalty, number one, for sure.
They're so playful.
They're playful.
Resilient.
Resilient. Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
They don't hold grudges.
They're very forgiving, and they don't, my dogs have never held a grudge against me. Thank goodness. What else?
Loving.
Loving. Yeah, that's a good one to remember. We'll come back to that today for the teachings. They're just, really, dogs are unconditional love, kind of very unique relationship we have with them in that way. So, looking at the quality of the dogs we want to embrace this year, the one quality that you didn't mention, that's one that I want you guys to really think of this year, because we've been studying it for the past 2 years, is that, but I would just use the example of my dogs. When my dogs think that they own the hill, the mountain that we live on, and so whenever someone's walking up there on a hike or something, they go crazy, and they're like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, and they run to the thing, and they bark, and they bark, and they do all this crazy stuff. And then when the person like hikes up the trail or whatever, the next minute they're like in the sun taking a nap. You know, so they naturally modulate between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Dogs are great at that. You know, they can be in fight or flight, and then the next moment there is no grudge, there is no worrying, they just let it go. So that's one of the things that we're really working on as yoga students, and in this particular tradition is really getting better at being able to be in that system that has us heightened and performing well, and then after that letting it go and just being able to move back into the rest and digest part of our nervous system. So when you guys think about that, so the love part is interesting this week, because I want to kind of bring that into the yoga practice, and the actual science of yoga is this. What is the goal of yoga? Let me ask you the question first. If we look at all the old texts, the Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, the sutras, what's the goal of yoga? Jeannie? Yes, so, and that's kind of you remember the why, what, and how? That's a little bit of the means to the end, but even prior to, we're trying to do this yoga to yoke the mind and body. What is the ultimate goal of yoga? Self-realization. That's a big one, right? But that is the goal of yoga, is for all of you to come to your mats and get self-realized. But I like to break that down a bit. For me, when I think about self-realization, I think about really just becoming the best version of myself. Like, I come here to be in touch with myself rather than living externally all the time. I get, as we say, svadhyaya, I get close to myself. I study myself, and in that can move towards whatever word you guys want to use, your own self-enlightenment, self-improvement, becoming the best version of yourself. That is really the goal of yoga. So we come here, and sometimes it feels like we are trying to get better at asanas, you know, but the truth is they're just a means to an end. You know, the means to the end is that these yoga postures and this breath practice and combining the two is meant to make us physically healthy, and it's also meant to make us energetically healthy and also spiritually healthy without any religious affiliation. We can just say emotionally healthy. So one thing that I've noticed over the years of being a practitioner and a teacher is that once you get to the mat, you almost always leave here feeling better, right? I mean, can you guys really, for the most part, I mean, unless you got injured or something one day, can you imagine you come here, sometimes it might be hard to get here, but once you do, you like always leave here feeling better. And even your partners or your spouses will be like, I can use Kim for this because she just walked in, or even Holly. If you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go to yoga this week, yeah, I'm not going to go to yoga this month, your spouses will be like, please, go to yoga, right? It's true, because they know it makes us happier. It makes us like better people when we're doing our yoga practice, we're breathing and moving. But it's not that they're like yoga fairies and there's some magic, like when you guys are in Shavasana, I sprinkle like happy love dust over you, right? The science of it is that you're actually coming in here, and the breath practice and the way that you hold your body is physiologically changing your brain and your body, and what we come back to here is it's physiologically working with your nervous system and your brain. Those are the two I kind of want to talk about today. So the connection between your brain and your nervous system, there's one primary nerve that we've talked about the last couple years that's responsible for that. And which nerve is that? The vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is your 10th cranial nerve. And it's called the vagus nerve because it's a wandering nerve. It wanders throughout the entire system, touching your all of your face, your hearing, your throat, your heart, your gut, your digestion. All of that has to do with the think of it as this: it's this communication system between your brain and your body. And in that communication system, we're constantly regulating ourselves, so the better we are at this, the better this communication is, the stronger this communication is, the more healthy you are physiologically, energetically, and emotionally. And there's all kinds of fun research right now to prove that. So it behooves us all to strengthen our, I'm going to refer to it this way as a vagal tone. So it's different than a muscle. I'm going to strengthen this muscle. It's a nerve, so think of it as electrical in a way, and it has a tone to it. Like me playing the singing bowls, like it could be a weak tone where I barely touch it, or a stronger tone that makes that bowl sing. And our vagus nerve is the same way. We either have a weak tone, and you can imagine if my brain is talking to my body and the tone is weak, then it's not always communicating well, or communicating the things I want it to communicate to stay healthy. And if that tone is strong, then it's communicating the things I need to really keep my system working well. So examples of a weak vagal tone would be what? There's a lot of disease right now. There's a lot of disease that's correlated with the vagus nerve being weak. What are those? I like to keep you guys engaged because I talk about this all the time. I know you guys remember some of it. What are some diseases that are related to having a weak vagal tone? Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of the diseases that have to do with just low energy and chronic fatigue, things like that. What else? Depression, big one. Anxiety, big one. Digestive, maybe number one, digestive disorders, because it's so connected to the gut. Heart disease, autoimmune disease. Addictions are huge as well. And there's a lot more. So on the other side, so flip it around. So if you have a strong vagal tone, you are healthy. The opposite of all. Well, disease-free, you're happier, you're more playful, you're joyful, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to talk about this more next week, but also your ability to be compassionate and to be a loving human being has really increased, and there's a lot of cool stuff about that right now. So obviously we want to have a strong vagal tone. So what are some of the ways you guys can strengthen your vagus nerve? How can you strengthen that tone?
Yoga. Meditate.
So one of the things you can do is you can do deep breathing, you can do long breathing, you can chant, you can do yoga, you can meditate, you can have positive, healthy social relationships with people and be in healthy relationships. So just you guys coming here today, that alone, I just described the science of why yoga works. To strengthen your vagus nerve. We're going to chant, we're going to breathe, we're going to move in certain ways that facilitate movement to the gut and to all the things that need to be cleansed and moved. So So it's not just this, woo-woo thing or whatever. It's actually a beautiful science around why we come to yoga and why it works for us to commit to this as a practice that keeps us healthy. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a yoga practice, and every now and then I'm going to say, that strengthens your vagal tone. Just to put it in your brain somewhere. But also at the end I'm going to read to you my favorite fun list of all the different things you can do to strengthen your vagus nerve, your vagal tone. So on that note, we are going to read the quotes for our extended family that won't be with us in class today. The first one's by Elizabeth Gilbert. Do whatever brings you to life, then follow your fascinations, obsessions, and compulsions. Trust them. Create whatever causes a revolution in your heart. And the second one is by Rumi. This is a subtle truth. Whatever you love, you are. So the teachings, again, this week have to do with the vagus nerve, which really has to do with our ability and how healthy it is for us to love. Namaste.